I am a mouthpiece for the Lord, so I spend my time doing things and following the instructions of the Lord Jesus Christ. This channel is taking a little bit of a twist. Before, you would know that I would sit in the camera and just give messages from the Lord, but now He has given me the go-ahead to turn my videos into more of like a vloggy, informative platform. But remember, this platform is still to give all the glory and honor to Jesus Christ. As you can even see, I've changed my name to Faith-Filled Journeys with Latoya. So you do know that I've relocated to Qatar, and I'm so excited to share this journey with you. When I was in China, I didn't really have much of a chance to do that because I started my channel towards my latter end of my journey in China. But regardless, today is going to be a jam-packed video with information that somebody asked me to well, a few people have asked me to make this video, and it's about how I got my job in China and in Qatar. Okay, so I'm gonna do as best as I can to give you as much information as possible, and if you have any more questions, just drop a question in the comment section and I'll try my best to get that answer to you. So for the first part, it is, how did I actually get this job? Now, we all know it was a gift from Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen. I am still in awe with that and how quickly it happened. But now let's talk about the actual physical platform that I used to get this job. Now, one thing that I will share is that I am a qualified teacher. I studied at the University of Johannesburg many moons ago. And I have 9 years experience of teaching, 3 in South Africa, 6 in China, and now I'm currently in Qatar. So yeah, that's 9 years of greatness. And the reason why I decided to go teach in different countries is just for me to kind of like get to know what children are like in different parts of the world, and to strengthen my teaching pedagogy, which is teaching and learning should be child-centered. It should be to create world citizens. It should be to let the child be a child, but at the same time not treat them as a child and just see them for who they are and not just being children. I believe that education should be taught in a way that children can be ready for the big world. And yeah, I just wanted to see the different types of behavior systems, the different structures. I just wanted it all, and at the same time strengthen my my teaching portfolio and experience. So anyway, in 2017, that's when I applied for my job in China, and now in 2023, I applied for another job in Qatar, and I use a platform called teachaway.com. I'm going to link I'm going to link the platform, their website, in the description later. But yeah, I got both these jobs in both countries on the same platform. And I'm just saying this because I feel comfortable on that platform. For my parents at the time, they were very worried about like human trafficking and all of this. So I had to make sure that the platform that I used was obviously legit, and the schools that I would be placed at were legit. You know, that's very important, especially as a female traveling alone. So I use teachaway.com for both platforms, and I use for both jobs. And it's so crazy because every time I go to a new country and I would try another platform, it wouldn't work for me. As you guys know, I did try to apply for a job in South Korea, which for me, remember this is just all about me right now, I didn't really like the process for South Korea. I felt like it's very redundant. I felt like it's tedious and it was just irritating me. And for both China and Qatar, I didn't find the process to be as tedious for South Korea. But I'm not here to bash anybody. It's just for me personally, I did not like it. So yeah, for both jobs, I went on teachaway.com, and what I really like about teachaway.com is that you already know if you qualify for the school just by putting your CV up. So make sure that the keywords that you use on your CV, because you're going to upload your CV onto the platform, make sure the keywords that you use are favorable for the world. Don't only focus on words that we use in South Africa. For example, creche or matric. Other countries don't use those terminologies, so it's going to be difficult for you to apply for a job if your CV doesn't pick up. It's kind of like LinkedIn. It's kind of like LinkedIn. So instead of using creche, for example, use kindergarten. Instead of using senior phase, rather use intermediate. No, not intermediate, my bad. Rather use what's the word, like elementary, or those kind of words. So just kind of like put your terminologies the American way. Don't really use what we only use in South Africa, because you'll find that a lot of your applications will get rejected. So it'll say you do not qualify, you don't meet the requirements for this job, when in actual fact you probably do, but you've just used the wrong terminologies. Not wrong, but you've just used not the right synonyms for that job. I hope I'm making sense. So yeah, that's the first thing that I will say. So for both China and Qatar, I went on teachaway.com and I put up my CV. I applied for different schools that I wanted. I was literally just seeing what I qualified for, and then I just waited for a response from those schools. And the nice thing as well on this platform is that you speak directly to the school. It's not necessarily through an agent, and the platform will tell you if it's directly through a school or if it's for an agent. But luckily for me, I always managed to go directly to the school. Okay, so once you've now placed your CV and you've sent your request over, it's just a click of a button, super awesome. The school will get back to you and they will schedule a Zoom call, a Zoom call. I had a Zoom call, and I think with when I applied for China, I had a Skype call. So make sure you have both. You are able to access both, whether you want to come to Qatar or whether you want to go to China. Skype and Zoom, those are your best friends. After that initial interview, then I had to present my reference numbers. This was for Qatar. For China, they didn't really ask for a reference, I believe. You just had to gather all of this information. You had to get your reference letters this is for China. For China, I had to get my reference letters. I had to get all of that information and take it with me to China, or I had to DHL it. I can't remember, one of the two. It was long ago. And then for Qatar, they actually they emailed the two references that I was going to use for my application. And once I passed the reference check, then they gave me an offer letter. And then I could obviously decline or accept the offer letter. And from there, that's when you now get your paperwork ready. But let me tell you this is when I applied for a job 6 years ago in China. South Africa's system was much more favorable than what it is right now. So if you're applying from South Africa, before you even decide that you want to go and teach abroad, no matter what country it is, start with this process that I'm about to talk about first, okay? So in other countries, in America, in the UK, they are blessed to have department work that actually do their job. No shade on South Africa, but the police system and the verification of your degree system is very, very long, and it's going to frustrate you if you start this process last. So if I've convinced you to leave South Africa, start what I'm about to say now. As soon as you finish watch this video, start it now. So you're gonna need to get a police clearance. You're gonna get to you have to verify English. You're gonna have to verify your degree. You're gonna need to get proof of proof. You need to prove everything, and the longest process is going to be your police clearance, and it's going to be going to SAQA. So get those things done first, and it's going to make your journey much smooth. If you don't, you could lose positions, especially for countries like China and South Korea. You could lose your job your job, the jobs that you get, you're going to lose it. But in Qatar, the nice thing about coming to Qatar is they understand that South Africa, it takes long to get these paperwork, so they actually allow you to come out before those paperwork, that you get those paperwork in check. But make sure you start the process in South Africa. So before they give you your visa and whatnot, they're gonna need to see that you've at least started with the process. Now this process is probably what's gonna cost you the most. It's really not cheap, I'm not gonna lie to you. If you do your police clearance and your SAQA by yourself, that should decrease the total amount of this process. So for example, I went for my police clearance that costed me 150 Rand, and then I did my SAQA, which is a standard price that's going to cost you 650 Rand, but that's subject to change. So make sure you do it now, because currently it's on 650 Rand. But I also asked for a speed up process because it takes forever, and I think I paid an additional 1,000 Rand to ask an agent to kind of like expedite my process, because I couldn't deal with the turnover time. It was taking way too long. But if you do have time, then definitely go for the standard time, which is about, the standard time is about a month or two. And if you ask for a speed up service, I think you can get it under 15 days, if I'm not mistaken. So if you have the money, do it. If you don't have the money, it's not a struggle. Just do it the normal way, but apply for the job after you have received your SAQA. Otherwise, it's going to frustrate you. Okay, so police clearance, you can also get that expedited if you have time. Honestly, I would say just get it expedited, because it takes forever, unless you go to a police station that actually does their job. But I paid an extra to just get it done and not to stress about it. And I think my police clearance came in about 8 weeks. I paid for the 8-week service, which came up to 800 Rand. The quicker you want it to come to you, the more you pay. But I could only afford 800 at the time. I didn't want to spend too much on it, just in case they don't do what they say they're gonna do. But thank God they did what they were gonna do. It's not illegal, it's completely legal. You're just jumping the line and getting an agent to do it for you. Completely legal though. So yeah, get that paperwork done first. I can't stress that enough. Thank God Qatar is lenient on that. Oh, and what I wanted to add as well, compared to South Korea and compared to China, Qatar only employs people that are actually qualified to be a teacher. So if you studied and got a bachelor's degree in education, you qualified to teach in Qatar. If you've done a PGCE, you qualified to teach in Qatar. But let's say if you are a lawyer, you studied law, and you want to teach in Qatar, chances are you won't get that job. Unlike in China and I believe South Korea as well, if you have another degree, all you have to do is get a TEFL and you can qualify to teach in those countries. But Qatar is strict. They want teachers. They want just teachers. So I just had to give that disclaimer. So you don't have to worry about like TEFLs and all of that for Qatar, because most of you would probably be teachers already. What's nice about Qatar as well, your years of experience will bump up your salary, but I do believe you can come and teach here without experience, fresh out of university should be okay, but your salary is obviously going to reflect that, which is it's still okay. You don't get a bad salary. The salary in Qatar is completely tax-free. Your first year in Qatar, they give you an apartment, which is absolutely amazing. They give you an apartment, so for the first year, you're not paying rent. Your whole salary goes to you, tax-free. It is awesome. That's one of the perks that is one of the perks that sold me on coming here. Whereas in China, salary is also really, really good. The tax isn't as high as in South Africa. You do have to pay tax in China though. You don't get free apartments. Some schools do give you free apartment, but for the most part, most schools don't give you. You do get accommodation allowance, and the salary is also pretty good. Yeah, China, the school that took me out initially, they gave me a relocation bonus. Both schools in Qatar and China paid for my flight, so you shouldn't be paying for your visa and you shouldn't be paying for your flight. The only thing that costs a lot, oh, I forgot to tell you how much the whole process came to for me, and I'll tell you how much it came up for my friend, but the whole process of getting your document attestation, it's an attestation where you have to get everything verified by the Qatar embassy. That is the most expensive part, because it's like 500 per page, and then I had about like 4 or 5 pages, so the entire thing came to 6,000 rand. I had to pay that from my pocket, and I do have a lady's contact, so if you're interested, I'll send you a lady that can help you with this process. This process is expensive, but the only thing that I would stress on is for you to get a legit person that knows exactly what they're doing, because there's so many agents in South Africa that will say they know what they're doing, but in actual fact they don't know what they're doing. So my friend used this lady and she passed it over to me, and I'm currently using her. The entire process takes 9 weeks, but you are able to come to Qatar before those 9 weeks are up, but you have to again provide that you've started the process. You have to do your medical checks. That's on you as well. You have to do your medical checks from South Africa before the school will start the visa process for you. So that means, let me just sum that up because I feel like I spoke a lot. You need to get your attestation done, proof that you've done your attestation, and you have to provide the what's that thing called, the slip that you've paid and you've started everything, and you have to do your health check. These 2 steps are important for you to get your visa to come out. Then as soon as your visa gets accepted, it didn't take me very long. It took me literally like 2 days for my school to apply and get my visa checked and verified and all of that. As soon as that is done, the school will then ask you where you're flying from, and they will book your flight as soon as possible. So again, you can see that once you have your police clearance, once you have your SAQA done, then you can pretty much come out to teach. So that was the process for Qatar. China, it's the same thing. You have to go through DIRCO, you have to get your stuff verified, but you don't necessarily have to do an attestation. So it's not as expensive to do your paperwork for China and South Korea as it is for Qatar. You can't run away from that amount. It is set in stone. My other friend that's out here as well, she's from Durban, South Africa. She paid 13,000 to do the whole thing for her. So police clearance, SAQA, DIRCO, attestation, everything for her came up to 13,000. So it really depends on how much you do by yourself and how much you allow an agent to do for you. That's going to be the difference between the prices. But they do give you a quotation. Keep that quotation close, because that's what the school needs to see that you've actually started the process. I hope this all makes sense, because I've said a lot. So just to sum up everything so far, choose a platform that you trust, teachaway.com. Start the recruitment process. Once you send your CV, the school will contact you and schedule a Skype or a Zoom call. They will do a reference check on you. Qatar will email the people or call the people directly. For China, write up your reference letter, send that over to the schools. They will do a reference check on you. For South Africa, the stages that take the most time would be the police clearance, and it's going to be the SAQA verification. Start with this process now. So if you want to go over in 2024, just start the process now with your SAQA and with your police clearance. The degree attestation, that takes the that's the most expensive thing that you're going to do from your end. Obviously, I can't give you a set price because people's positions are different, so you'll have to figure that out. I will give you a lady's contact if you need it. Just let me know in the comment section below, and I'll send you her WhatsApp number. You will need to translate your documents into Arabic if you're coming to Qatar. Don't do it in South Africa, do it in Qatar, but ask your school if it's okay for you to do it here. If not, it was quite pricey when I looked, so I pray that the Lord will just bless you the way that He blessed me. health check to be done in South Africa, and it will be done again in Qatar. You have to provide the health check results to the school before they give you your visa. The school's responsibility is going to be, for Qatar, apply for your work visa, buy your flight, and to provide housing and accommodation for you. They will give you all of this information even before you come onto the flight. Then you print all of these things, because once you land in Qatar, they also give you your health insurance. So you have your health insurance even before you come to Qatar. At the airport, they're going to ask to see your visa, your work visa. They're going to ask to see your health card, all of that. So even if your parents are not comfortable with you coming, if the schools don't provide these things, side eye. If the schools do give you these things, you're good to go. They're probably, most likely, they're not legit. For China, you gather all your documents, they get apostilled at DIRCO, send those paperworks all the way to China. I didn't have to do that for Qatar, which is amazing. But China, you have to send your paperwork before you even get your visa and stuff. You also have to do your health check and whatnot for China as well. In China, they also buy your flights. I'm speaking from my experience. I'm not too sure if things have changed for China, but for the most part, this was the procedure. For both schools, both countries, the schools pay for your visa and pay for your flight. You just need to pack your bags and get on that plane and start your new journey. Both processes were quick for me to even get the job and to leave. They were honestly very quick. Qatar was much quicker than China. China, I think I applied 2016 October, and I was out of the country, South Africa, in April 8th or so, because I landed in China on the 10th of April 2017. So China was a bit longer, but still a quick process. But Qatar was definitely quick. So yeah, and I think what helped me is the fact that I already had my paperwork ready. So, okay, just some things on the top of my head with regards to like teaching in China and what I noticed already being here for a couple of weeks is I'm at an IB school. I do like the curriculum, but it's really dense. It's you have to be prepared, unlike in China where you could kind of like finesse and go to class without really preparing. The school that I'm at now, you have to be really prepared. The systems here, it's work. I feel like in China you kind of like get lazy. I'm speaking from my own experience. China really made me lazy as a teacher. I never really prepared that much. Maybe it's because I was teaching kindergarten, I'm not too sure. But with the school that I'm at now in Qatar, everything has to be documented. You have to mark a certain way, and it has to be uniform throughout the whole school. I would say the system in Qatar is like the system in South Africa, when South Africa's education system was like, here. What else can I say? Both countries are obviously, the parents are very wealthy. The children come from a very wealthy background. So there's certain things that you can and can't do to the children. Both countries, I notice, emphasize or stress and encourage teachers to speak to children with a loving voice. And that can be very hard when you can obviously see that a child is doing something wrong. But this is also something that I'm working on right now. And part of the reason why I like teaching in different countries is for me to learn how to treat children. And that's what I took from China. China has really changed my style of teaching and my ways of talking to children, because the way the Chinese treat their children is very it's nice, it's respectful, and I really like that about them. I'm trying my best not to yell, not to shout, because honestly, children nowadays are different. So this is something that you really have to consider when coming out here. Both countries, the children are wealthy. I'm talking, these children are coming from multi-millionaires as parents. They're coming from CEOs, they're coming from doctors. These parents are wealthy. These kids are rich and they are spoiled, which doesn't mean that you can't do your job out here. It just means that you really have to pay attention and be cautious with the way that you do certain things. The school that I'm at now is really amazing because they do back up the teacher before anything, but obviously you can't do anything reckless like beat the children and, you know, shout and corporal punishments, which nowadays is even letting a child stand up in front of the class. So these are things that you really have to consider when coming out here. But for the most part, it's amazing. If you're a person that can kind of like bend your ways for law, in terms of like you don't really have a problem with following new laws really quickly, you're really gonna find it comforting being in a country like China and Qatar. They're very, very safe. Both countries are extremely safe. The one thing that I really like about Qatar is that they give you a credit card. They give you credit cards. They allow foreigners to have credit cards, and they allow foreigners to drive. So even if you're coming from South Africa and you have a driver's license, you can literally use your driver's license here for the first year, and you can hire a car, you can rent a car out. Petrol is really cheap out here, so you can drive yourself around, or you could just Uber if you don't drive. That's still okay. The accommodation is really beautiful, as you can see. Like I'm in a really nice apartment. Yeah, and they're really open, especially in Qatar. They're really open to you asking questions. They're very helpful out here. The kids in the classroom are very, very versatile. They come from different parts of the world, mainly from North Africa, but yeah, they're different. And unlike China, where it was like Chinese people the whole time, it got a bit boring after 6 years. But now it's like different kids from different parts of the world. Yeah, the food is amazing. Thankfully, I like Middle Eastern food, so that's been really great for me. Yeah, that's pretty much. But we're gonna unpack more about living in Qatar. If you want me to make another video based on like my time here or anything else in terms of like getting a job here, let me know, and I'll definitely provide that information. And yeah, I think I've covered everything with like the whole Qatar and China job application process. I pray that I did a good job on this. If you have any more questions, please feel free to drop me a message in the comment section. I think I said everything that I needed to say. Yeah, and again, welcome to Faithful Journeys with Latoya. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend that probably needs a job. Anyway, I love you, but remember, Jesus Christ loves you more. Bye.